Hello guys, how are we doing? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be one of many in a new series, pretty much increasing your chances of winning games and improving your KD within Vanguard. This one in particular is going to be on accuracy. It's going to help you guys, fine tune where you're shooting or stabbing, and help you guys improve your accuracy. After following these tips myself, my accuracy jumped from about 5%, so I'm now around a 25-30 odd percent, which I don't think is too bad on this game. Now, first thing I want to talk about is a drill I like to do when I have had maybe a week or two off, and it's essentially what I'm doing right here. And it's get on dome, put on a load of bots on recruit, obviously, because you don't really want them shooting back. Talking about accuracy, what is that about? TDM, radar always on, and just pretty much slay out. This is a general good way to warm it up, and you always sort of want to warm up before you get on a sweaty COD game such as this. Yeah, if you have certain things you think you want to, work on, say for example if it's, target acquisition, like, as your ADS moving from target to target, then I'd recommend adapting this. Maybe stand still in an area of the map and shoot. Practice shooting while stood still. Or if you struggle with maintaining accuracy on a single player, maybe up their health, up the enemy's health, which you can do in the settings. And this way you'd be able to, you'll only be able to kill them if you put 30 bullets in them. And it's a good way to be able to, hone in on those skills and help you, stay on target for longer. So yeah, I'd recommend doing this. Even if you guys don't struggle with your accuracy, but you've been off for a week or two, or maybe you feel a bit rusty, always jump into a pro match first. It just makes your movement a bit more fluid once you get onto the real game, and improves your accuracy. Second thing we're going to be talking about is settings. Now I'm just going to quickly, before we get into it, I'm going to run through what else this video is going to contain. It's just going to contain how to control recoil, settings, obviously, the good weapon setups, pre-aiming, and centering, all those good stuff, all the stuff you expect to improve your accuracy on the game. So moving on to settings, I'd recommend, I'm running a 10 sensitivity, which obviously is very high. I don't recommend you guys doing that at all, but this is just years of COD. So I'm on a 10-10 sensitivity. Where is it? Right here. I was on an 8-8 on Cold War, which is faster Cold War, so maybe use that, maybe try one more. Say, for example, you were on 5-5 on Cold War, maybe try 6-6 on Vanguard. And if you're like me, you enjoy running around the map and, being able to turn on people as quick as you possibly can, but you want your aim to be like precise once you're aimed in, I'd recommend changing the ADS sensitivity multiplier. Say, for example, if you want an 8-8 running around sensitivity, however, you want a 6 ADS sensitivity, obviously have your 8-8 sensitivity as normal, but change this to 0.75. This will make your ADS sense A6, which means you'll still be able to beam at range. I'd also recommend certain other things. So, for example, a lot of people suggest turning in the vibration off, but I'm not that sort of person. However, aim response curve time. Now, this is very important. I would always have this on dynamic. The only reason I don't is because I have a controller with its own settings in it, so I don't have to do it. I've essentially mapped dynamic into the controller, so no matter what game I play, it's dynamic. But if you guys have this as standard, or think your aim's a bit off, you're not as switchy as you want to be, change it to dynamic, see how you feel. Other than that, obviously you're going to want aim assist on, as well as default aim assist target mode. Obviously you play around yourself, see what feels great. Precision and focusing tend to be more like what snipers are used to. Black Ops is a bit more of the Black Ops version seems to be a bit more of a weaker aim assist default. For whatever reason, I had to reduce my ADS sensitivity on Cold War, whereas on this I can play 10-10 and find it fine snapping onto people. So play around with this, see what you think, but I'd recommend going on default. Yeah, that's what I'd recommend doing. I'd also, obviously, if you are playing pubs and you want to focus on increasing your accuracy in pubs, obviously mountains are thin. I'd recommend doing that when you can, simply due to the fact that it basically eliminates recoil within any gun you're using, even if it's like the most dirty gun with recoil. Moving on to the next stage of things, it's going to be weapon tuning, weapon setups, what certain attachments do, what certain descriptions mean, so on and so forth. Let's move on to that. So, accuracy is essentially how much the bullets stray away from where you're aimed at. This is essentially bloom, which you guys probably have heard of. So you want as little bloom as possible, unless you're using an SMG and you're going to be in their face, so it's not too much of a problem, which is why I've got that on here. It does have an attachment also which increases your accuracy, which obviously reduces the bloom. So if you feel like your hit reg is a bit off, maybe look at attachments that increase your accuracy, help your accuracy out, and you should be hitting your targets a lot more often. A lot of barrels in the game come with this description: highly accurate and controllable, and reduced sway scope and gun bob. Essentially, highly accurate and controllable essentially just reduces your horizontal, reduces your horizontal recoil and idle sway control. So I'd highly recommend this, because obviously horizontal recoil is a lot easier, a lot harder to control than vertical. There's also going to be another, what was the other one? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Recoil control. Now, what recoil control essentially is just a rounded approach to all matters of recoil, whether it's vertical, horizontal, and flinch. I know flinch is in itself. But recoil control is essentially just a mixture of, horizontal and vertical. So if you guys, are finding guns that maybe have a little bit too much recoil, I know this goes without saying, but go into your gun setups. Make sure you haven't got some silly attachments that absolutely butcher the recoil pattern. And work from there. Moving on to the next step. Now, if you do have any questions about what I'm saying, because I understand I'm going through this quite quickly, please drop a comment. I do reply to all my comments. So if there is something you want to specifically ask about, just pop it in the comments, and I will be sure to answer as soon as I can. I know we spoke briefly about horizontal and vertical recoil. I'm just going to talk about a bit more about recoil next. And I did briefly dip into this bit as well. But in my opinion, and in most people's opinions, I find vertical recoil is a hell of a lot easier to control than horizontal recoil. Simple matter of the fact that holding down on the D-pad, your analog stick, is far superior to trying to wiggle it left and right to manage the recoil. So I would recommend attachments, again, listening to the thing I've just said, that aid your horizontal recoil. Essentially, if your vertical recoil is awful but your horizontal recoil is bang on, all you've got to do is hold down on the analog stick, which isn't the hardest thing to do when it comes down to it. I'm never getting that guy. If you do find a lot of people just control their recoil and accuracy with their right stick, which obviously makes sense because it's the one you want, it's the one you move with. However, you can adjust with the left stick. Now this is obviously a lot of you guys probably watching and thinking, well, obviously. But say for example you're just left of the target, instead of trying to turn right, just move right. It's as simple as that. So if you've got long ranges of fire, and this works pretty well when you're shooting someone. Say it's a bit of a wacky gunfight. Moving your left analog stick left and right helps you maintain target and increases the chances of your bullets hitting a little bit more. Moving back to what's the next thing we've got coming up is essentially centering. Centering and where to aim. Now, centering is in the simplest way is where the middle dot on your screen is pointing. So you'll see it here in my crosshairs. I've got the 4 bits either side and then the dot in the middle. Essentially, that's the middle of the screen. You want this being, this is what the center of the map is, and essentially center of your screen is, and where your gun's essentially going to be aimed in once you press that left trigger. Essentially, you want the center of the screen to be where that enemy's going to be. Now, in order to do that, so for example, right there, when I come around that corner, I knew they were going to be on my right, so I've just got to make sure that even before I'm aimed in, I was centering exactly where I needed to be before that. So I'm not going to go around this corner, and then aim and then turn. You want to go around the corner, look up, and then before you're even aiming in, you're looking at where they're going to be coming from. This does tie in slightly with slide cancelling the movement, which I'm going to cover in another video. So if that's something you guys want to see, make sure you drop a subscription. I'm going to, just a brief summary of movement tips and tricks. But yeah, centering is important. So another example: say you're looking out over here. You don't want to be looking like this. This is going to get you killed, like so. I mean, I'm not shooting it, so it makes sense. But looking out like this is going to, as you look over, you're going to want to look slightly down like that at your enemies. Even if you don't want to be aiming in here then looking down, you want to be looking down at your enemies centering exactly where you think they're going to be, so on and so forth. Same as if you're going down here, you don't want to be running like this. Let me just wipe these out so I can explain this fully. Oh, there's tons of them. So when you're running down here, you don't really want to be running like this because you're going to get caught off guard. You want to follow the gradient of the floor in where you're looking, and you want to run like this, maybe check left, and then keep running like that. Essentially, that's what it means. And when you come out corners, you don't want to be coming out blind. You want to sort of come out already looking at where you want to be, before you come out right into the open, out of cover. This moves me on to where to shoot people. So, a lot of people think, well, the head's the best place to shoot because it kills quicker, and they're not wrong. If you can hit the head with every bullet. This isn't a guaranteed thing, however, because people move, your recoil isn't going to be perfect. So I would always recommend shooting for, centre mass, upper area of their chest. If you've got vertical recoil, if your vertical recoil isn't there, you're automatically going to be drawn up to the head. And if you're already aiming at the head, you're going to be automatically drawn up away from the head, which obviously is not a good thing. So yeah, aim for the centre mass. That way you should guarantee getting most hits on your enemy. And you never know, you might get lucky and, aim up to the head just from, flinch and recoil. The final thing I'm going to mention is practice. Now this obviously goes without saying. I've been playing COD since COD 4. So shooters come pretty naturally to me. This game's pretty good with regards to aim assist and recoil control. There isn't really much of it. If you guys have played Apex, that's a completely different ball game. Yeah, I'd just recommend practicing, whether that's on pubs, whether it's in a private match like this. You're never going to have perfect. You say this is your first COD game, you're not going to have perfect accuracy. Be patient. Actually think about what you need to work on. Don't just be like, oh, I'm missing shots, let's just try. Actually think, right, why did I miss those shots? Was it due to the fact that my recoil, my sensitivity is wrong? Is it due to the fact that the recoil maybe is a bit too high in this gun? Or is it maybe due to the fact that I'm just not warm yet? Warmed up. Think about it. At the end of the day, if you want to improve at something, you need to actively try and improve. You can't just hope that, playing a lot gets you there. You do have to, consistently try and improve yourself and think about certain particular things, specific things, which you do need to work on. So that's going to be me. As I said, if there's anything I missed or anything you want to know that I have, any questions on what I have said, I mean, talking about actually, look at these bots. Saying that, he did kill me. It's good centering from him. Please drop a comment because I do reply to all of them, and I want to help you guys out as much as possible. I know I'm not the best player in the game, nowhere near, but I consider myself above average and can help you guys out where needs be. So that's going to be me. Hope to see you guys in the next video, and ciao for now. See you guys in a bit.